Hey, if you're shopping for minimalist shoes, you've probably heard of the Lems Primal 2 and the Xero Prio. In this video, we're going to talk about the differences between these two shoes and why you might buy one versus the other, and my own personal experience with these shoes. What are going to be the major deciding points? I'm Matt Shu from Upright Health, where we help you think right, move right, and feel right. If you're new here, be sure to check out the description box for helpful links. We'll link to purchase links for these shoes, as well as some of our do-it-yourself programs to help you get more flexible, strong, and resilient. All right, so let's get into the review. Full disclosure, Lems did send me a pair of the Lems Primal 2 for free to try out and review. They have not paid me for the review, but I am an affiliate of theirs, so if you use the link that is in the description box to buy these shoes, Upright Health gets a small commission. The Xero Prio shoes I paid for years ago, and I've had these for years, and there's also an affiliate link down in the description box. So again, small commission if you use that link, but otherwise nobody has paid me for this review and this comparison. When I talk about these shoes, I'm going to cover some of the key differences so that you can make a decision about what makes more sense for you and your use case. I am not a fan of saying one shoe is absolutely terrible, although I'm sure there are shoes out there that are terrible, but I am a fan of giving you some key decision points so that you can just find the shoe that works better for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about why I choose one versus the other for myself, and why one of these shoes actually no longer even fits my foot, which is super unfortunate, but could help you in your buying decision. So first, let's start off with some simple comparisons. When we look at these shoes, you can tell there is a little bit of a different styling going on here. The Lems tend to be more of an outdoorsy look. They are not the same kind of modern athletic look that the Xero Prios have. The Xero Prios are more of like a sporty look. They have, reflective pieces. It's just bright colors. It's just different. It's going to be a style that looks more appropriate in a gym. It works a little more in a more urban environment. It just has more stuff going on that makes it look like a modern 21st century shoe. The Lems look like you're going to go hiking, looks like you're outdoors, you live in the Pacific Northwest, in Boulder, Colorado, where both these companies are, and you in general just are a more outdoorsy person and you want a shoe that reflects that. So that's the stylistic difference. You choose which one works for you in terms of style, because it's just going to depend on you and what you want to convey and where you live. Moving on from there, we want to talk about the sole. So both of these shoes have very flexible soles. They are both very flexible all the way through to the very ends of the soles here at the toes, which is something that differentiates them both from Vivo barefoot shoes. One major difference though is the style of the heel. So the heel in the Lems is this rounded heel that a lot of minimalist shoes have. That tends to strike down on the ground sooner than this flat heel. So I personally prefer these flatter heels on my minimalist shoes, but a lot of minimalist shoe companies do have this rounded heel. So if you have any experience with one or the other, you may want to pay attention to that, because the Lems rounded heel is obvious when you're walking, although you do get used to it, and for me now it's not really a problem. Now let's talk about some very obvious differences between these two shoes. The Xero Prio has the thinner sole and the overall thinner stack height. So when you are using the Xero Prios, you're going to be looking at an insole that's 2 millimeters thick. That you can just remove, and I've actually removed those and I've lost them. I've had these shoes for so long, I lost the insoles. I never wore them with the insoles because I preferred having a thinner sole. The sole with no insole is only 5.5 millimeters thick, so it's pretty flexible, pretty thin. You can feel the ground, which is wonderful, and it is enough padding where you can walk around. I took these on a trip to Europe, and these were basically one of my only pairs of shoes. I had Xero sandals and these shoes, and I think one other pair of shoes, and I just wore these basically all the time on cobblestone streets, and it was all good to go. The Lems sole, however, is thicker. The insole is 3.5 millimeters thick, and the actual outsole, if you took out the insole and you just looked at the stack height with this, then you're looking at already a 9mm height. So what you're talking about is a really significant difference, 5.5 with no insole versus 9mm in the Lems. Now, why would you want the thicker outsole? If you are looking to walk on concrete for long periods of time, you might want the thicker stack height, right? So if you are looking at just running around and really getting maximum ground feel, then you probably want to go with the Xero. But again, if you're walking on harder surfaces or you're walking for really long distances and you know you need more cushion, then the Lems is going to definitely be the better choice. Now let's talk about the upper materials. So both shoes are breathable. They are mesh constructions in the upper, but I do find that the Xero Prios tend to be more breathable. They just have a lighter weight nylon material up here, and so that seems to be much more breathable than the Lems. The Lems feel like a much warmer shoe, so if you're in a colder place, then you're either gonna have to wear really warm socks with the Xero Prios, or you could just wear the Lems. The Lems are super warm, very comfortable in cold weather. Where I live, I've been using these for just about a month now, and these have done very well in 40 to 55 degree temperatures. I would say, however, that if you are in a hot place, then the Lems may be too hot a shoe for you, and you may want to go with the Xero instead. Now, I did mention that one of these pairs of shoes I just don't wear anymore. I can't wear anymore because they don't fit my foot well anymore, and that is actually the Xero Prios. So I actually made a video about these shoes where I was very positive about them, and you can find that old video in the description box. I'll leave a link down there. These shoes worked out really well for me. I used them on a trip around Europe, like I said. Unfortunately, what happened is last year I actually broke my big toe doing something completely unrelated to these shoes, and I wasn't able to wear shoes at all for several months. And so I was wearing Xero barefoot sandals. I was wearing the Genesis sandal a lot. In that time, my toes actually started to spread quite a bit because they were never being bound in by any shoe. And at the end of this whole process, once my big toe was feeling better and I could actually wear a shoe, I found that putting on the Xero Prio was no longer comfortable. It just felt like the toe box was too narrow for my splayed out toes. So the Xero Prio, unfortunately, because of the Xero Genesis sandal, no longer fits my foot. And so I've now noticed that the Prio toe box, it's not super narrow, but it's not the widest toe box available. I have noticed that Vivo Barefoot's toe boxes are wider than the Xero Prio, and the Lems Primal 2s are definitely wider than the Prio as well. So if you have an exceptionally wide toe splay, or even like a medium wide toe splay, then I would say you'd want to look more likely at the Lems than the Xero Prio. This is an old version of the Xero Prio from a couple of years ago, but I have tried the updated version where they have updated the sizing, and on the Prios I still can't find a good size that fits my entire foot and the toe box well. Where with the Lems Primal 2, it does fit my really wide toe splay pretty well, and the Vivo Barefoots also fit my wider toe splay well. So I do think that the Prio is a little bit more narrow than the other barefoot shoes that I just mentioned. One final place you might need to pay attention is the price. You'll want to go to their websites. I'll have the links down below to look at the actual up-to-date pricing on these shoes. But when I looked it up at the time I'm making this video, the Xero Prios are the cheaper shoe. They are about $90 US per pair, and the Lems Primal 2s are about $105 per pair. So if you're trying to buy the absolute cheapest minimalist shoe here from these two, then this would be your one. This is the cheaper one, the Xero Prio. So to summarize, if you're comparing the Xero Prio and the Lems Primal 2, What are going to be the major deciding points? Well, for me, big one is toe box. Lems Primal 2 toe box is a little bit wider than the Xero Prio. Then there's the heel, so flat heel versus rounded heel on the Lems Primal 2. Both soles are very flexible, but the Lems does have a thicker overall stack height and thicker stack height even if you remove the insole. And the Xero is definitely a more modern kind of athletic look, and the Lems tend to be more of an outdoorsy, hiking, going out into the woods type of look. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this comparison and review of the Xero Prio and the Lems Primal 2 shoes. If you want to see other minimalist shoes reviewed and compared on this channel, drop me a comment in the comment section below and we can reach out and try to get some of those shoes so you don't have to spend all your money trying on a bunch of different minimalist shoes. If you liked this video, click the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future updates. If you end up wanting to buy some of these shoes, use our affiliate links down below. It helps us make more videos for you. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.